We love you! Fight for Trump! 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 Fight for Trump!
We can't let what happened 3 weeks ago, we can't let it happen. No, it's beyond me. We can't let it happen. And somewhere there's going to be a champion, your champion. Somewhere there's going to be a champion that's going to do what's right. Because this has been going on for a long time, but never like it's happened recently. And you know, they've used the pandemic and the phony fake ballots, the mail-in ballots, they use that to sabotage your country. We're not going to let it happen. As you know, a major issue in this state is voter fraud. It's been a big issue for a long time, but never like this. We sent out tens of thousands, millions and millions of ballots. Nobody knew where they came from, where they are. People were getting 2, 3, 4 ballots. They were signing them and sending them in. What a mess. And I said it a year ago, and I said it every month. And I even said, let's postpone the election. And they said, oh, he's not an American. You know, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. We're all deeply disturbed and upset by the lying, cheating, robbing, stealing that's gone on with our elections. We know the Democrats want dead people voting, and you gotta watch it. Dead people, you wouldn't believe how many illegal aliens from out of the state, and they'll be filing out and filling out ballots for people who don't even exist. They put up names, they have people signing their own name over and over. They have people signing names with the same pen, with the same signature. They don't even change because they know once they get it in, it'll never be looked at. It'll never be looked at again because of people like the Secretary of State and you go. Signature verification, but the answer, and we're going to be very careful. We're going to watch every ballot, David and Kelly. We can't let this happen again. And again, we have more light shining here because of what happened and because of the fact it's pinpointed. The answer to the Democrat fraud is not to stay at home. That's what Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, that's what they want you to do. Stay at home. Right. Just stay at home. If you want to do something to them, I don't want to use the word revenge, but it is a certain revenge. To the Democrats, you show up and vote in record numbers. That's the They can only win if they cheat. They can't win this state unless they cheat. And they cheat better than anybody. You know, when you think of it, the Republicans are much nicer. They're not nearly as vicious. Maybe a few of us. Republicans are too nice, he said. You're right. That's right. Thank you. But they are. They're too nice. They don't go after these criminals. They gotta go after them. We're talking to people, go after them. They don't go after them. I'm afraid they'll hurt their reputation when they get out. I don't know. They don't go after them. But we're watching this so closely. We have everybody watching. You gotta get out and vote. Let them steal Georgia again. You'll never be able to look yourself in the mirror. We have to hold the line. And you're two of the greatest people on earth. We have to hold the line. Make sure that you and everyone else know that you have to register to vote before this Monday, December 7th. Is that right? Monday, December 7th. You have to register to vote. Of course, you'll probably be allowed to if you're a Democrat. You know, they don't have any time limit.
Vote twice.
Did you see where Stacey is allowed to harvest, but other people can't harvest? How is that constitutional? How is that constitutional? Has anybody looked at that? Go to Georgia.gov and register immediately, then request your absentee ballot before December 31st. Don't delay. Watch it closely. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. And return your ballot the same day you get it. So they can't say, gee, it didn't come in on time. You know what they did in one of the states? Ballots were coming in late. Very, very late. So they backdated the ballots. We have all the information. We have so much evidence. And then you go to a court. Oh, they don't have enough evidence. We have hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of affidavits and they say, oh, he doesn't have the evidence. We have so much evidence. We don't know
Yes,
what to do.
you
I'm
do.
saying we put all of this into a file, it's like with wheelbarrows. If you aren't planning to vote by mail, vote early in person or vote on election day, whatever you do, I need each of you, every one of you, your friends, your family to go and vote. We need to pass landmark election reform, including voter IDs. Residency verification, citizenship confirmation. They want to say, oh, he doesn't have to be a citizen. You got to see what's voted. They're not citizens. You're a citizen? No, I'm not a citizen. You speak English? No, no English. Speak no English. Oh, you voted. This is the craziest thing. You know, the Democrat National Committee had their convention, and they had a picture. You couldn't get in unless you had a picture. You had a photo ID. But when it comes to the most important thing, voting, they don't want to do it. And they know exactly. We just can't let that happen. I've only been doing this for a short time. Believe me, this is something we're going to do because we can't allow it to happen. And complete overhaul of our election security systems, because right now, Dominion is a joke. It's a disgrace that in 2020, no state in America even makes any real attempt to verify that those who cast ballots by mail are eligible and lawfully registered voters. The evidence of fraud is overwhelming, and again, I'm going to ask you to look up at that very, very powerful and very expensive screen. I do this for a few people. Let's go.
We certainly want transparency. What he saw is what we revealed to you last night on this program, what appears to be Atlanta, Georgia ballot counters being told to leave the counting room, and a short time later, with no observers, no media, hidden cases of possible ballots are rolled out from under a table. 4 people, under a cloud of suspicion, begin what looks an awful lot like ballot stuffing.
And the media did pack up and leave at 11:15, but there weren't observers there at that time, and there was no announcement made for anyone to leave.
Now wait a second here. That is disheveled Fulton County Elections Chief Richard Barron, but he doesn't have the facts right. Video proves it. At 10:40 p.m., not 11:15, 10:40, the media is packing up. A half hour before he thinks they leave. You can see them putting on their jackets there. And by 10:56, they are long gone. And the Trump team has sworn witness testimony, claiming an announcement was most certainly made. In fact, even CNN reported the county was being shut down due to a water main break that even election administrators acknowledged was a leaky toilet. So someone had to tell those people to leave. And if you look at this table, there are ballots in boxes open and ready for counting. Now watch as they get packed up. Why would you need to secure them and then ultimately take out the mysterious ballots from under the table to start counting? It just doesn't add up. Elections board member Dr. Kathleen Ruth shows her skepticism in that Zoom call this morning with the elections chief.
It is interesting that these ballots were under a table versus being in the open.
Well, I think there's this. I don't know that I think those ballot boxes get heavy. I don't think they want to be lifting those things up and putting them back down.
It makes no sense. He's scratching his head, he looks nervous. The guy does not inspire confidence. There were already ballots out, but even almost 24 hours since I posted what could be, quote, smoking gun video of election fraud. A video now with 2.5 million views as of right now on my Twitter feed. The head of elections, whose ballot counters are now being accused of ballot stuffing, declares this.
I'll have to review. I need to review the video. I have not seen the video.
What is no one's right? He hasn't watch the video that could upend the presidential election? And the guy in charge of the very people in the room admits he didn't watch the video before updating board members this morning? That's insanity. And yet, Fulton County still certified the election. But you know who did watch the video? Our viewers. Stinchfield's Army. One directed me to this moment in the video. The woman in purple, after putting ballots in to be scanned, appears to take the same batch of ballots out, straighten them, and then, look what she does with them. She reinserts them back into the ballot counting machine again. The same set of ballots. Now, there may or may not be an explanation for this, but it certainly needs to be investigated by law enforcement, as the greatest political heist in election history may have just been caught on camera.
Evidence of election fraud mounts. Mainstream media and Democrats loudly insist that hundreds of thousands of votes for President Trump mysteriously disappeared on election night. On Tuesday, Jesse Morgan, a worker for the U.S. Postal Service, revealed that his trailer full of ballots simply went missing after he dropped them off. The worker drove his truck from Bethpage, New York, all the way to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and says he was carrying some 288,000 completed mail-in ballots. Phil Klein, the director of the legal group Thomas More Society Amistad Project, says they have many more testimonies from whistleblowers with similar stories. The project is working to discover flaws and even expose cases of voting fraud in the 2020 election, and has already uncovered serious examples of voting irregularities. Backing up President Trump's warnings, Klein explains that the post office was rife with fraud, and that many Postal Service workers were taking part in widespread illegal efforts to undermine the election. While the missing truck full of ballots is bad enough, other whistleblowers say they drove thousands of pre-filled ballots right over state lines, which is a federal crime. A subcontractor for the post office, Nathan Pease, said that he was told by two separate postal workers that the post office in Wisconsin had collected and backdated over 100,000 ballots on the morning after the election. Unsurprisingly, others also claim the integrity of the many voting machines has been compromised and cannot be trusted. During a press conference in Arlington, Virginia on Tuesday, the project explained that election officials in blue jurisdictions have failed to maintain the ballot chain of custody, which leaves the door wide open for voting fraud. The project said it has photographic evidence of people improperly accessing voting machines and eyewitness accounts on how the seals on ballot hard drives were illegally tampered with and broken. Klein says that in total, there are over 300,000 fraudulent ballots in Arizona, 548,000 in Michigan, 204,000 in Georgia, and 121,000 in Pennsylvania. Based on this evidence, the FBI has reportedly requested to look at the project's data on voting integrity and potential election fraud. Pearson Sharp, One American News.
Democrat workers were doing, and by the way, there was no water main break. You know, they said there was no work. That's 10 times more than I need to win this state. 10 times. It's 10 times, maybe more than that, but it's 10 times more because we lost by a very close number. The alleged Biden margin of victory in several states is entirely accounted for by extraordinarily large midnight vote dumps. You saw them going up to the sky. All extremely skewed to Biden. Like Biden would get 10,000 votes and Trump would get 3 in the Trump area. For example, at 6:31 a.m. in Michigan, reported 141,238 votes for Joe Biden and 5,900 votes. 96% for Biden, 4% for Trump, in an area where I should be doing quite well. You know, I went almost every county in Michigan, almost every district. It was except one. And they actually had more people. If you look at the ballots, they had ballots all over. They had more ballots then they had people voting. How do you do that? So they had people, and they voted. And then, as you know, two of the canvassers were very brave. They didn't vote. They got the hell knocked out of them from the standpoint of what they went through. They took, all the cameras went off, and then they raised their hand, but then they couldn't sign it off. But more ballots than they had voters. Now, how simple is that? A similar vote dump occurred in Wisconsin at 3:42 a.m. This is 3:42 in the morning. In fact, when I went to bed that night, everybody was calling, congratulations, you're up 600,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Across all of the key swing states, there were impossibly low rejection rates. You saw that. For mail-in ballots, drastically less than the historic norm. In Georgia, 0.5% of the mail-in ballots were rejected in 2020 compared to 5.77%. That's a difference of 11 times more. It's hundreds of thousands of votes. In Pennsylvania, 0.03% were rejected in 2020 compared to a much, much higher percentage in 2016. This issue alone is enough to change the election results in many states. Whistleblowers, and that's the smallest of the issues. Whistleblowers in multiple states have testified to witnessing postal workers and election workers illegally backdating thousands and thousands of ballots, fixing ballots, filling out false birthdays, registering ineligible voters, and much, much more. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of votes in each state. In Arizona, a sample of 100 ballots reviewed by a judge found that a very small percentage of these ballots, very small, but when you look at it, it turned out to be very large. It was tens of thousands of votes, more than we would have needed to win Arizona. We should have won that state very easily. We have a similar type of governor, I think, but I'll let you know that in about a week. In one Michigan county, and by the way, when Laura Ingraham interviewed your governor, he said he was an offensive lineman. I said, that's strange. He doesn't look like an offensive lineman to me. In one Michigan county using Dominion voting systems, nearly 6,000 votes were discovered that were wrongly switched from Trump to Biden. They called it a glitch. You know, a glitch, that's like a machine run. Numerous times we found glitches, and every single time the glitch went 100% to Biden and no percent to Trump. The same systems are used in 30 states. The left lies, they cheat and they steal. They are ruthless, and they are hell-bent on getting power and control by any means necessary. They investigate you and they prosecute you. The moment you question them, they try and intimidate you. They call you a poor American. You're not a good American. You don't love our country. They don't love our country. They beat you down, shut you up, and make you retreat. That's what they do. That's what they've done to your governor. They've done that to your governor. Your governor should be ashamed of himself. That's what they want to do right here in Georgia. They want you to be quiet. They want you to go away, but we don't go away. It's the biggest open secret in America. The Democrats cheated elections this year by sending out 65 million mail-in ballots. They perpetrated the largest fraud in the history of our country. Democrat officials and politicians in every swing state systematically weakened every measure to combat election fraud. They ensured that there were no identity checks, no signature checks. I want to check a signature, please. I'm sorry, we don't let you do that. No eligibility checks, no nothing. Every single one of you know that if these ballots are properly ordered, if the signatures and envelopes were examined, if the envelopes were correlated to the votes, because you'll find there are far more ballots than there are envelopes. All you have to do is count them up. How many ballots do you have? How many envelopes do you have? And if the voter rolls are studied, in other words, studied to check the signature, the Smith, oh, it's a totally different signature from 2 years ago, from 6 years ago, from 10 years ago. What's that all about? We will find that hundreds of thousands of ballots were illegally cast in your state and all over the country, by the way. More than enough to give us a total historic victory. This is our country. That they are taught, and you know this and you see it, but they're trying to take it from us through rigging, fraud, deception, and deceit. That's what we saw in the election. That's what's going on, and it's happening right now in our country. And we will do something about it, and we're going to do something about it quickly. And we're going to be watching on January. We're going to be watching every element of what they do, this fraud that they perpetrated in our country. We're going to be watching it more closely than any election has ever been watched. Hopefully our legislatures and the United States Supreme Court will step forward and save our country. I used to say without borders, we don't have a country. I can say also without an honest voting system, without an electoral process that works and that's honest and fair, we don't have a country either. We need to check every single signature in the presidential and senatorial elections. And right now, we have to get out to vote for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler to show the radical left that we will never surrender, we will only win. What do we win? We always win. Somehow we find a way to win. Now is not the time to retreat. Now is the time to fight harder than ever before. So don't listen to my friends. Just go out. Just go out. And you know what they're saying? They're saying, we want you to fix the system. We're going to fix the system. But the system will be fixed when these people get in. They'll get in and we'll fix the system. We're all victims. Everybody here, all these thousands of people here tonight, they're all victims, every one of you. The next great victory for our movement begins right here on January 5th. And then we are going to win back the White House. We're going to move back to the White House again. A friend of mine said, oh, don't worry about it, sir. You're way up in the polls. You'll win in 2024. I said, I don't want to wait till 2024. I want to go back 3 weeks. We're thrilled to be joined tonight by some real friends of all of ours. Representatives Doug Collins. As you know, he and Kelly had a great primary, a very strong primary. They both did fantastically well, and he is on board, and he is one of the greatest advocates I've ever met in Washington. I want to thank Doug.
Way to go, Doug!
Thank you. What a job he does. Thank you. Doug, you want to run for governor in 2 years? Toughest guys you'll ever see, Louis Gohmert of Texas. And a young up-and-comer who's taking Washington by storm, Dan Crenshaw. I didn't see you, Dan. The first time that's ever happened to me. You do stand out in many ways. Thank you very much. The next senator from Tennessee just got elected. Did my endorsement help? We love Tennessee. Bill Hagerty. He's going to be a great senator. He's going to be a great senator for a long time. Your former 8-year governor, you only left because of thing called term limits. If I would have known, I would have tried to end those term limits. But he went to the Department of Agriculture as his head. He's done a tremendous job. And, you know, we've handed out $28 billion to farmers, $28 billion. I said, how badly have we been targeted by China? And Sonny Perdue said over a 2-year period, sir, $28 billion. That's when I put the tariffs on China, took the money, and gave it out to the farmers. And we had a lot of money left over, and we put that into the U.S. Treasury, right, Sonny? And he's done a fantastic job. He knows more about farms than any human being. state representative, a friend of mine, a great gentleman. He saw what was happening. He happens to be a Democrat, but we love him. I'm trying to talk him into joining our party. Vernon Jones. What a great guy. Agriculture Commissioner Gary Black. Gary, good job you do. Boy, what a good reputation. Thank you very much, Gary. Your Public Service Commissioners, Tricia Pridemore, Jason Shaw, a great man, great man, who's also on the ballot next month. Bubba McDonald, I like that name. Where's Bubba? Great job. Great job. That's great. Thanks a lot. And I introduce you to Bert Jones. Bert's going to be a very important man, I think, over the next couple with William and Brendan and the folks. And I appreciate it. And Greg, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it very much. Very important. Georgia Republican Party Chairman David Schaefer. Hi, David. How we doing, David? Oh, we'll fire you so fast. David's done a great job, and he works very closely with RNC Chairwoman. This is how we won. We won a great state. We won a great state known as Michigan when she was there. And I said, let's bring her to Washington. Ronna McDaniel.
Impeach Gretchen!
Thank you, Ron. Over the last 4 years, we built the greatest political movement in the history of our country. Already, we've achieved more than anyone thought possible, and we're just getting started, and we don't want other people to rip it apart. We must re-elect Kelly and David to keep it going for decades. Our politicians spend trillions and trillions of dollars rebuilding other foreign nations, fighting foreign wars, and defending foreign borders. We want to defend our border. And we're now finally protecting our nation, rebuilding our cities, and we are bringing our jobs, our factories, and our troops back home to the USA. How easy to bring them home. I bring them home and they say, sir, we got to keep them there, sir. We got to keep spending money. We've got to keep giving money to these countries that can't stand us and don't get hurt. In everything we do, we are putting America first. We ended the war on American energy. And the United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas anywhere on Earth. We achieved the most secure border in U.S. history, and we built our wall, as I said. Very important for you because you're a big military between the equipment we build and VA choice and VA accountability, right? You ever notice the vets? We used to always have on television, you'd have the fake news that always be, well, in that case it wasn't fake, but for years, you'd always see vets how badly treated they were, how badly treated. I shouldn't say this because they'll find one somewhere in the country, but you don't see that. You don't see that anymore. You don't see the stories on the evening news about vets that are being treated horribly. And accountability was a big factor. We fired 9,000 horrible people that took advantage of our vets. They see a doctor, we pay the bill, they get better, they don't wait in line for weeks and months. We destroyed 100% of the ISIS caliphate in Iraq and Syria. We killed the leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi, and we eliminated Soleimani is dead. I withdrew from the last administration's disastrous Iran nuclear deal, and I think they want to start it up again. Can you believe it? I wonder if they'll give them $150 billion. No, they'll give them $250. They were ready to rock. They were ready to do whatever we wanted. Now they're salivating. I recognize the true capital of Israel and opened the American embassy. I also recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Instead of endless war, we are forging peace all over the world. And you know, we have the greatest military ever. We have the greatest equipment, all made in the USA. A lot of it made in Georgia, but you know what? I'm the only one in many, many decades word in a war. Everyone thought that with my personality, I'd be in war the first week. They were all saying war. And we developed relationships. Let's see how he would do with Kim Jong-un. I don't think too well. But whatever happened to that? Remember, I came in, it was going to be war with North Korea. It was going to be war with everybody. We built the greatest military in the world, and the better it is, the less likely it is that we're going to have to use it. But everything that we achieved together is on the line on June 5th. In this election, you can send a message to the fake news media, and there's a lot of them right back there.
Yep.
And they'll find something wrong with this evening. I don't know what it is, but they'll find something wrong. Maybe it was the person that shouted love. They'll say it was a horrible protest. They'll find something, Kelly and David. They're going to find something. They're looking to having a hard time. It's been a love fest. This is a love fest for these two people. But they all want the Silicon Valley censors and the corrupt Democrat political machine. They're partners. You must vote for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Go out and